Once again, I appreciate everybody being in attendance here today. Really excited about the momentum we gained from last week. Really privilege for me to lead our football team in the Robins Stadium here last Saturday night. Our guys were ready to go. They were focused. They were pretty sharp. And we got a very, very well-needed and well-deserved victory here in front of our home crowd. We want to continue to build our momentum here as we get deeper into the season and prepare ourselves for conference play. As per our opponent this week, I've got great respect and admiration for VMI and all the history there in their program. I got great respect for their student athletes and everything that they go through there at that institution. I've got great respect and admiration for Coach Woods, everything that he's accomplished throughout his career and what he's doing currently up there at VMI. From our perspective, though, this is a critical game for us. We have to go up there and build upon our foundation. We have to go up there and play really well this weekend. We need to come home victorious and with some confidence as we continue to get deeper and deeper into our season. At this time, we'll just open it up to any questions we may have from our media.
David, your familiarity with the Big South opponent last week, was that helpful, and would you see it as helpful this week if it was helpful last week?
Yeah, I think it was. I thought going in that it would be. I'm sure that Coach Dickerson had some similar feelings. I mean, I think he knew that he could at least get a good idea of what we were going to be doing based on the film that he had from my time at Liberty. I thought that our players were well prepared for the game, and I do think part of that was our familiarity with our opponent. We knew their personnel. I've known those guys for years and could speak very specifically about their personnel and how this year's Gardner-Webb team looked compared to last year's team and the previous year's team, and then kind of the same thing with VMI. I know their personnel very well. I know what they did very well against us last year, both here and at Liberty, and I know their areas of strength. I feel very confident and comfortable with our knowledge of our opponent this week. We're communicating that information to our student athletes and implementing our game plan here. Personally, I've been played at VMI 3 times. I think it's a great venue. It's a great place to play. I told our players Tuesday night about the environment. It's a great environment. I think it's reunion weekend, or they should have a great crowd. And the core of the cadets. Should be an exciting day for college football. So we're trying to prepare them in every way, based on our experiences and the information that we've gathered as a staff.
So what are their strengths, Coach?
Well, I think right now defensively, their 3 down guys are good football players. Their defensive front is very solid, very physical. They're not necessarily big in size, but they're very productive, very tough. Their outside linebackers have got good experience and have been very productive. They're playing with 2 new inside linebackers, to be determined, as to what kind of seasons those guys put together. On the back end, they appear to be more athletic than I've seen them in the past, but relatively inexperienced. So I'd say defensively, their strengths certainly lie in their front 7, in particular the D-line and their outside linebackers. And then in the secondary, they appear to be as athletic, if not more so, but lacking a little bit of experience. Offensively, it's really stems all around the quarterback, Cordenbrock. You can look at stats and you can always reference the game or the games that you've seen or watched. I know firsthand that last year when my team played him, he was fantastic. I mean, they were throwing and catching the ball with precision. It was very discomforting for me last year on the sideline to be watching their execution offensively. He played with great confidence. He distributed the ball. He was right on the money with the football, and they moved the ball and scored points. We have really been looking hard at and studying. This is a very unique situation, but, we were looking at VMI Richmond, obviously, a game where a year ago VMI just would not go away. They had some bad breaks early in the game. Richmond took an early lead, extended the lead, and then VMI came storming back. These kids will not quit. And then the other film they're seeing a lot of is VMI Liberty from a year ago. And that game was tooth and nail, pretty much back and forth. Liberty ended up extending their lead to 13 points. Then VMI scored with, 15 seconds to go to cut it to 6. But both games were very physical and very competitive.
Coach, what does a 33-point win do in terms of confidence and momentum?
Well, I think it has done a lot. It's kind of just what the doctor ordered, I believe. To win is obviously the objective, but to be, somewhat convincing and somewhat dominating really does, I think, begin to establish a little bit of an identity for this year's football team. It's critical for me and for us to maintain that and to continue to build upon that. So, like I said earlier, I got great respect and admiration, but we know very well that we've got to come out focused and fired up and physical in this football game if we're going to come home happy on Saturday night.
How do you gauge the improvement of your team between weeks 1 and 2 when the opponents were so different?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there's certain things that I think are things that you can really attach value to. For example, I thought that our defensive front at Virginia played pretty well. I thought that we were pretty physical in the run game, but statistically we didn't necessarily validate that. I felt here Saturday night that was validated. That we are pretty physical up front, and they had a hard time rushing the football against us. They got some runs in the fourth quarter under slightly different circumstances. Offensively, I think our ability to have more drives ending in points, more drives that could be viewed as being successful drives was something that was much more positive here last Saturday than up at UVA. So, our consistency on offense was better. Our ability to sustain drives and maintain the football was better. And then defensively, I do think that my hope or my feeling that we were going to be able to defend the run pretty well up at UVA became a little more of a validation here against Gardner-Webb.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, just one more quick question. Running the ball effectively, having such a good day on the ground, how much does that make you feel good after this team?
Yeah, I think that in a lot of ways that needs to be our identity. We have to be able to run the football to have balance on offense. And I thought offensively we had great balance out there Saturday night. And it all really starts with that rushing attack. Our offensive line has been playing pretty well. No sacks here in 2 games. I think we all know that was one of the major issues heading into the season. Kendall's running the ball with physicality. I like what I see there. Jovan's given us a nice change-up, a very dynamic player in his own right, but certainly a different type of player than Kendall. And then John can run the football back there at the quarterback position. Jacoby Green had some good plays at the tailback position. So our ability to run the ball with some power and some authority really will dictate our ability to do other things with the football, spread it around, play action pass. So that was very encouraging heading into this coming week.
Thank you. The plan up there, it's not huge, but might there be some sort of heightened awareness to get off to a good start because you don't want to let them think they're in a game, and it's a tough place in terms of tightness and noise, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good word. I've used that word quite often here, heightened awareness. You have to really have your antennas up. You have to come out fast. I definitely think there's some legitimate value to that. It'll be a nice environment to be in, and I enjoy going up there. It's a lot of pageantry. I enjoy that very much. This past week we fell behind 3-0 at home, obviously, and were able to really get the momentum back and move forward. But in a road game, you're always looking for opportunities to seize the momentum of the game and to probe to find ways to take control of the game. So just like you said, John, we want to be able to go out there early and gain the momentum and then hopefully be able to eventually take control. And like I said, the one thing that's been a constant with this football team for as long as I've played against them is they will not quit. And they will fight and fight and fight to the bitter end, regardless of the scoreboard. You hear coaches say that all the time, 0-0, the score is 0-0. You go in the locker room, regardless of what the score is, it's 0-0. They really play with that type of a mentality. They have the same effort, same intensity in the first quarter that they have in the fourth quarter. The thing that they lack is depth, and that's the biggest issue that Coach Woods has to deal with week in and week out in trying to maintain that productivity late in the football game. So hopefully we can go out there, get off to a fast start, and look for moments in the game to seize control.